So we're right in the middle of Halloween season, aka spooky season, aka Bill Skarsgård season. Look, I don't make the rules, it's not my fault he's in all my favorite modern horror films and kills it every time. All jokes aside, I love this time of the year, and what better way to celebrate it than to cover some of the best films the genre has produced in recent memory. One of those movies being Zack Cregger's Barbarian. I recently rewatched Barbarian, and man did I forget how good this one was. Zack Cregger is currently atop of the world as a fresh creative mind in the horror genre with his latest release, Weapons. Check that video out if you haven't already, by the way. Anyway, I loved Weapons, and it's inarguably gonna go down as one of my favorite movies of the year. But I think there's one thing we can all say for sure. We don't get Weapons without Barbarian. Barbarian once again saw a guy known for being part of a sketch comedy group take a swing at making an original horror film, and it worked. If I had $1 for every time that happened. I made the exact same joke in the Weapons video. I'm sorry, I'm not a very funny guy. What I'm trying to say is, we seem to be in the middle of a mid-budget original horror film renaissance, and Barbarian was very much a part of that movement. And once more, upon rewatching it, I think I love the film even more now. It's grounded but somehow meta at the same time. It messes with what you know and what you think you know, which in turn ends up being the basis for what you're about to experience, including a twist so well built, it might just go down as one of my favorite twists in any horror movie. Barbarian has such an unreal atmosphere. I love how contained it feels, how claustrophobic it all really is. The leading duo of Georgina Campbell and Bill Skarsgård are thrown into this uncomfortable, uneasy, but somehow realistic scenario where they've both managed to book the same Airbnb for the same night. And damn man, shout out to the GOAT, the young legend, my boy, old Bill Skarsgård, for absolutely nailing the role as he tends to do. The first time I saw Barbarian, I was actually a year or two late and I went in almost completely blind. I still have no clue how I missed this one upon release. The premise, directed by the guy from The Whitest Kids You Know, and with Bill Skarsgård as the co-lead. Dude, I'd watch anything with this fucking guy in it at this point. He's one of my favorite actors working today. I should have been on this film on opening weekend, but I guess I'm a fake fan. Anyway, I digress. The reason why Barbarian works so well is because upon first watch, you do not trust the character of Keith, played by Skarsgård, at all. Georgina Campbell, who plays Tess, also kills it as the full lead of the film, being thrown into a nightmare scenario for a woman traveling alone. The minute she realizes someone is in the Airbnb that she booked and Bill Skarsgård answers the door, your mind instantly knows, okay, shit is about to hit the fan. And this is where the movie shines in a very unique way. Zack Cregger deliberately set his audience up the moment he cast Bill as the guy who also booked the Airbnb. Because it's a horror film, and of course it's him answering the door. But this is what I meant when I said the film plays into what you know and what you think you know in a strangely meta way. Zack Cregger assumes that you know who Skarsgård is and what he's known for. Unless you're living under a rock, you'd associate Bill with being Pennywise the Dancing Clown in the two It remake movies. And here he is again in a horror movie. Yeah, a much more human and self-contained one in comparison, but still horror. So that's just one factor. Additionally, Bill naturally has this strange charm but also intimidating factor to him due to his very unique look, and the audience is immediately locked into this internal struggle of, do we trust him or not? And right off the bat, I think most of our reactions were immediately, nah, fuck that, Tess should get out of that place ASAP. It's just human instinct, man. Like, no need to sugarcoat it. She's a woman on her own, and he's this tall, brooding man that she doesn't know one thing about. And I like how the film immediately plays into this too. The characters aren't dumb. They're written realistically, and because of that, I feel it makes it all the more engaging. Almost instantly, Tess asks Keith to pull up the receipts, man. Show me your Airbnb email, and he does. Oh, that's strange. They try calling the Airbnb people and they don't answer. Okay, now I'm starting to wonder if this was all a deliberate setup by Keith. And the film is leading us to those thoughts with the setting. It's late at night, storm in town with rain pouring down heavily, Airbnb people not answering, and all the hotels in the city seemingly booked due to some event happening, according to Keith. Why does he know that? He knows a little too much. It's off-putting. There is a moment early on in the film where both characters are figuring out what to do and Tess steps into the bathroom. Keith steps into frame looking so menacingly as she walks away, and damn man, this is just a masterclass in controlling your audience. Tez finds Keith's wallet at some point and takes a picture of his ID, which I found funny but very realistic. But then Keith, truly reading the situation for what it is, tries his absolute hardest to prove that he's not some creep or serial killer. And I laugh so hard now seeing this upon rewatch because the poor bastard is fighting for his life, and the harder he tries, the more he kinda makes it worse. And well, spoiler alert I guess, but I'm assuming you've all seen this film, otherwise what are you doing here? But as it turns out, Keith is genuinely not a bad guy. This isn't some elaborate premeditated scenario. Keith and Tess were both simply thrown into a highly uncomfortable situation, and he recognizes that and tries to make the most of it, at least about as much as one can in such an awkward position. He makes her tea, offers her to stay at the Airbnb in the room while he takes the couch, proposes they just make it through the night so they can call the owners of the place in the morning to get a refund. But obviously, just because he's saying and doing these things doesn't mean all is well and good. Things are still weird, and Keith almost comes off like he's just putting on the nice guy act. But as I said, it's no act. He helps wash the bed sheets for her, he even offers her a glass of wine, but chooses not to open the bottle until she can physically see him do it in front of her. And I like how he did this because he noticed she didn't drink the tea he had made her earlier. And I don't know man, as a guy I try to put myself in Keith's shoes here and realize that I'd probably be acting the same way. Knowing that no matter what I say or do, the poor woman will naturally and understandably have her guard all the way up. So with the benefit of hindsight, knowing what we do after we watch the movie, I can completely understand the way both sides are approaching the situation. But eventually, once the shock of the entire situation settles down a bit, right after Keith offers Tess a glass of wine, they speak about why they're in town and realize how their two ventures are more connected than they could have ever known. Strangely enough, they kinda click and start to get comfortable. They're laughing and joking about the absurdity of the situation while playfully debating about the dynamics involved. Zack even sneaks in a clever line for Keith to say when he asks Tess, "What, do I look like a monster?" A wink at the audience who knows this guy's work and assumed this would be his role in this film too. As they begin to wind down for the night, things actually seem good. Hell, they might be into each other at this point. But once they say goodnight and both head off to bed as arranged, you still can't help but feel things are off. Tess locks her door before falling asleep, and somehow it's not only unlocked but left open in the middle of the night. She then hears Keith having night terrors as he sleeps, and the whole vibe is peculiar. She wakes him up, he's like, "Yo, what the fuck?" She asks, "Why was my door open?" He's like, "I don't know, let me sleep," and they both fall back asleep. Weird stuff all around. By this point in the movie, I'm not even sure where it's headed. Like I said, I went in blind, no trailers. The fact that Tez woke up and Keith wasn't there and left her a note made me say, so I guess he really is a good guy. Then she finally steps out of the house to get to her interview and realizes the kind of place she's staying in. An old rundown neighborhood that screams get out. Quite literally. Anyway, we enter the final stretch of the first half of the film when Tess gets back to the house and accidentally locks herself in the basement until Keith returns and helps her out. And oh yeah, Tess found out that the house has a secret room accessed through the basement with some creepy shit in there. So she wants out immediately. Smart. Keith, who at this point I'm now back to believing is the reason these rooms exist, cause he's some psychotic fuck, tells Tess, "I don't believe you, let me check." Somehow he convinces her to wait for him while he goes down there. And yeah, I think we're about to kick into high gear. And we do, but not in the way I expected. When Keith doesn't come back and Tess starts to head after him, I'm thinking she's done for. This is it. All of our preconceived notions about Keith, and hell, Bill Skarsgård, will be proven right. You should have ran when you had the chance, Tess. The fact that he made it feel like you weren't trapped was part of the trap. She goes deeper into this wild underground tunnel and we hear him calling out for her help. I'm sure we're all thinking the same thing. How could she be so dumb and naive? But then she finds him and he looks terrified. Both aren't listening to what the other is saying. Keith tells Tess that there's someone else down there with them while she signals to leave in the direction they both came in. Which on paper sounds completely fine and logical. Tess didn't see anything on her way down there. But Keith is claiming with horror in his eyes that they can't go that way because that's where they are. It all happens in a matter of seconds, but neither is doing what the other wants. By now I'm thinking, damn, this is way too elaborate for it to be planned by Keith, and at this point, I didn't know what to believe in the best way possible. He yells at her to listen to him and pulls her aggressively, and before I could even try to process what's going on, boom, the mother bursts onto frame and bashes Keith's skull in on the wall. Tess screams in horror. I'm not even sure what just killed Keith, and then it sinks in. Holy shit, he actually was just an innocent guy. It's hard to explain because obviously once you've seen it once, the shock of the twist doesn't hit as hard. Hell, upon rewatch, my wannabe smartass wants to believe that I should have known that Keith was just an innocent guy. But that's the thing, the situation these characters were put in, along with the way they were written, made it so that we simply couldn't tell. And that's care for the craft from director Zack Cregger. It was all ambiguous for a reason. Real life operates in shades of gray. Everything isn't black and white. Of course, we're gonna doubt the random guy at the Airbnb that's supposed to have been yours for the night. Yes, even if he looks like Bill Skarsgård. But there was also the unique outside influence of knowing who Skarsgård was and knowing that most filmmakers would make him the villain here. But that's not what Cregger did. He placed us in the middle of this scenario with these characters and made us figure it out with them. It was unpleasant, uncomfortable, but also realistic. And the film further highlights how we form preconceived notions when the homeless man tries to warn Tess to leave the house, except we all assume his intentions are bad. On the surface, it might seem like a twist you hear about and think, why is this such a big deal? Well, because in an age where it gets harder and harder to create a new, unique, and sensible twist in a story without rehashing something from a show like The Twilight Zone, I welcome something as creative and simple as a twist like this. The twist is simple. You know this guy's previous roles and you know how you'd feel in this situation, and it works. No more to it than that. What there is more to though is the characters. Everyone has a story. It's how you tell it that makes all the difference in the world. This twist might not be as shocking as something like the original Planet of the Apes, The Sixth Sense, or even Fight Club. It's much more grounded than any of those. It's much more personal. And that's why I love Barbarian, because in the end, the film asks us one important question. What are you truly afraid of? The unknown? Or what might happen when you finally find out?